Good morning once again. In this presentation, I'm going to be presenting about laser beam welding. Throughout my presentation, I'm going to pass through these important points. So what is laser welding? Laser welding is a fabrication technique used to join metals or thermoplastics by the use of laser. The laser actually plays a role in providing a supply of a narrow beam and a high concentrated energy source for achieving this high welding rates. Many amplification parts may be used to achieve the high power density capable of welding. What is the mechanism behind that? What's actually done? In a simple way, we could say that a highly powered laser is used to melt exposed areas and then cooling it in a high rate so that it fuse them to join. But in a scientific way, you could say that laser accelerates the photons. These photons are going to be observed by the metals or by the samples that are going to be joined. After absorption, the excitation of their electrons is going to be done, which causes the bond breakage between the atoms, which actually explains the high temperature behind this welding. So as a characteristics, what should a laser have for it to be capable of welding? At first, it should be narrow. The spurt size should be between 0.2 and 13 millimeter. Of course, the smaller, the better. And it should also has a high power density by the order of 1 megawatt per second per centimeter cube. The application could be done by continuous or pulsed exposures. It doesn't actually it doesn't make a problem whether this or that. In some cases, some gas shielding techniques should be used. This gas shielding technique, it doesn't give us vacuum, or it just neglect some unwanted gas particles that are going to be found in the air itself. For example, the nitrogen particles, when the laser light actually collide with these nitrogen particles, it causes some deformalities. Penetration depth is also dependent on the power that is used, and between the distance between the focal point and the target. So as much as the distance is closer, or as much as the distance is smaller, the higher the penetration depth is. What are the laser types that we can use? We could use two different laser types: the solid state lasers and the gas lasers. Uh, as well, for the solid state lasers, we could use ruby laser, which is actually known to be approximately 695 nanometer, and the power could be fluctuating between 10 and 20 watt. Another solid state laser is an Nd:YAG laser, which uses which actually normally of 1064 nanometer, and the power could be fluctuating between 0.04 and up to 6000 watt. On the other hand, uh, gas lasers uh, such as carbon dioxide laser of power 25 kilowatt and a wavelength of 10,600 nanometer. It is important to note that the fibers may be used while using a solid state laser depending on its application, but these fibers may not be used when using a gas laser because the high power of gas laser may cause its destruction. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of laser welding? At first we said that we don't need vacuum, so air could be found, and there is no X-ray generated. Moreover, an automated machine can take care of the operation. Some computer setups, which will do the welding itself. We will have a high quality welding. It would be really a steady welding. It won't break up in less time. And it is really well precised and highly characterized due to the narrow beam that is going to be used. The main disadvantage from laser beam welding, it is expensive. And for the applications, we could see on the right hand right-hand side and the upper picture, it is an automotive where the roof is actually being welded to the body part of the car. Also, doors and roofs may be welded by this machine. We could use it also on jewelry and some medical parts. We could see in the lower picture. This is actually a machine that do welding for some rings or for some really tiny parts, tiny medical parts. It is also being used in some industries as for big parts that's going to be welded. So, as a conclusion, laser beam welding is a well-precise technique used to join metals or other thermoplastic particles in a highly characterized way without causing damage to the near area after the exposure of highly powered laser that's going to be used. Laser beam welding is a really technique that is being used in many and in different applications and in many different fields. Here are my references. Thank you for listening.
Okay, Omar, thank you for the presentations.